just got back from Uganda and had a great time at Bamba Forge. George Icard from GI Custom Lines went along with me, and to tell you, this was perfect. It was just a reminder of why we're doing this build along in the first place. We're doing it for people like John. John was in an accident on a motorcycle. He walks with a crutch. They actually thought he was dead. The accident was so bad, and John has had a hard time finding work because of his disability. We're doing this for guys like Sam who really want to work, and he has great talent. George and I were amazed at how far these guys have developed in their knife making. Here's a little bit of an example of their work. So thank you so much for all of your support, those who are building, to our patrons and sponsors. This has been a great project, and I'm thankful for all that you do to help us. Step in the process is shaping your handle, and I'm also going to show you how to adjust your pivot pin to get the friction you need. So to do this, we're going to use a real simple low-tech tool. So you can see here I have a disposable chopstick, and what I'm going to do is just grind this down a little bit, smooth the diameter, and I'll stick this into the lock pin, stop pin hole, and that'll give me something to hang on to as I shape the scales. And so you can see I'll just stick it in here through both of the scales, and that'll give me something to hang on to. And if I hit the bamboo, it doesn't matter, I'll grind it away. And then I'll just put a pin in the back, and you can see I have two handy dandy little handles to hold it, and I'll just start grinding away and shaping the handles. I'm going to do this step very carefully. Remember just to go slow and don't take too much off of the handles. We want to round them. Right now they're perfectly square and flat and chunky, and so we're going to make the handles kind of elliptical in shape and just comfortable in the hand. Something to pay close attention to is not to grind off too much handle material where you've recessed the pivot hole for your pivots. If you hit that a little bit too much, you can always go back and countersink your pivot or your screw hole a little bit more. But I'm just going to be carefully doing this on a pretty rough grit belt, just so the material stays cool, I don't burn the micarta. And this is a 60 grit belt, which is going to grind cooler than a finer belt. And I'm not pressing too hard and really gouging into or digging at the knife. I'm just shaping it very carefully. You can see there it's taking shape. One trick that you can do is watch the pattern in the micarta to see that you're taking off material evenly on both sides. The pattern, kind of like the wood grain, should look pretty even. And as you look at that, that's going to guide you in shaping the handle. Next, I'm just going to flip it over and do the other side. And also take a minute to clean up the edges just a tiny bit. Don't take too much off because we want to have a little bit of extra handle material so that we can adjust the final shape of the knife when the blade is in it, because we don't want to go down too far. So just take your time, have fun with this, and get that handle shape nice and comfortable. As you can see in this photo, my pivot pin is too long. It sticks up through the two holes, and really if I screw the pin in, or the screw in now, it's going to hit against that, and there's not going to be enough friction on the knife. So we need to shorten that pivot, and I'm going to show you a low-tech way to do that. The way to do this is take two scraps of micarta like this, or you could use a piece of wood, and as you can see their thickness is about the length of the pivot or so. What I'm going to do is drill a hole in it and then countersink for the pivot so it's held nice and firmly in there, and the micarta is supporting the pin on all sides. Next, I'll go over to my grinder with an 80 grit belt, and I'll just carefully begin to sand the micarta. Now what's interesting about this is the micarta dust kind of fills in my pivot, and because I'm going against my contact wheel with a flat piece of material, it doesn't make a big burr on the end of my pivot or mess up the threads. So there's a very simple low-tech way to shorten that pivot so that it's below where my screw head on the screw that holds it together is. And as I tighten it, it will pull the scales together instead of just stopping against the top of my pivot. And it's that simple. That's what it looks like. the micarta dust has kind of filled in the pivot, protecting the threads, and I think this is pretty well good to go. Let's look at what that looks like on the knife. After putting the screw in, this is what it looks like. It's now sitting down in there really nice. You can see my contoured handle. And now as I close it and open it, there's much more friction, and the kind of friction we need to make this knife work dependably and protect you in using it, that it doesn't close accidentally or open in your pocket or something like that. So overall, this is looking good. I still need to grind my blade and catch up with Aaron and his progress, but I hope your knife is starting to look a little bit like this. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Shaping the handle of your knife is really important to get a shape that feels good in the hand, that matches your hand well in terms of ergonomics, and looks good. I want to give a shout out to Aldo from New Jersey Steel Baron. Thank you so much for the donation of the steel to make the knives for this build along. I really appreciate that. It's great to work with a business that gives back so generously, and I appreciate that. You know, when we asked Aldo for his help, there wasn't a moment's hesitation. He said, I'm in. And so thank you again, Aldo. We're going to have another great drawing for prizes for patrons coming up. Stay tuned for that, and I hope you're having fun making a friction fold.